Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, I want to start with this very frightening event that happened today with Vivek Ramaswamy and me. I'm going to tell you what's going on here. This just blew me away.
Vivek and you?
Vivek Ramaswamy and me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, well, it scared me, not him maybe, but it scares me.
Okay.
And when I'm done with this, I think it will frighten all of you. Now, let me tell you, give you a little background. I've never been a Vivek Ramaswamy fan. I don't trust people that come out of nowhere, say all the right things, and everything else. And I did see him in person at Turning Point USA, and he just really rubbed me just in a strange way, personality-wise. But something happened today that I want to share with you. Now, Ramaswamy is eventually going to be dropping out of this Republican primary race. It could happen any minute.
Yeah.
Okay. It's they got their debate, the last debate, and his campaign is hopeless. And a lot of people are talking about him being Trump's vice president. And I've been telling you guys, this guy is bad news. He's saying a lot of the right things. Everything we've heard about him is very bad. And he has been, I think, kind of sucking up to Trump to get in Trump's orbit. He wants to be in Trump's orbit. He wants to be on that campaign. And when I saw him at Turning Point USA, when he came out, all the young people at Turning Point just, went goo goo gaga over him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trump used him to help with the youth vote, but this guy's very dangerous. So let me tell you what happened that scared me today with Vivek Ramaswamy, and it should frighten you all as well. And I don't think this is an exaggeration. So they have the last Republican debate, and they're all losers, right? And the only three people that are relevant, I can't, none of them are relevant, but the only three people that are of any interest in the debate are, of course, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy. And the reason that they're the ones that are most interesting in this last debate, if you can call this debate interesting, because it's not, is it's getting down to the wire, all right? President Trump is at over 60%. Number 2 is DeSantis at 13. Nikki Haley and Ramaswamy are tied for 7. So now this last debate, it's like a death match. DeSantis and Nikki Haley, neither of them want to drop out before the other because they want to come in second place in Iowa. They figure if they're in second place, they'll gain momentum. I think Nikki Haley's the establishment choice. But what makes this last debate somewhat interesting is how cutthroat they're going to get. Vivek Ramaswamy exposed about 3 weeks ago Nikki Haley's connection to the military-industrial complex. He talked about how she was deeply in debt. Now she's worth millions of dollars, and she's got these fake jobs with the military-industrial complex. And if you watch Nikki Haley on any of her interviews, and I'm sure she'll do this in the debate, she loves to talk about bombing Iran, increasing our support of Ukraine, all these things, because she's part of the war machine. That's how they make the money. And so Ramaswamy, who's trying to angle his way in with Trump, very well may go after both Nikki Haley and DeSantis. He very well may expose her on this war machine, military-industrial complex thing. And he could, Ramaswamy, go after Ron DeSantis on the high heel shoes, the high heel boots. So when this debate is over, he could have a big moment where everyone's talking about him, or he could drop out and then he could be worming his way into Trump's orbit. So this is what happened that was frightening. Since I started hearing from people again, the terrible idea of him being Trump's running mate, this is insane. I went online, he's got this Soros connection. Soros' brother paid for part of his college education, his graduate school education. And I played that audio weeks ago on the program. So this morning, I'm getting all these messages about him being his running mate and all this stuff, Trump's running mate. So I go online to get the Vivek Ramaswamy audio of him talking about the Soros family paying for his graduate school education. Couldn't find it. The last time I looked for it, a few weeks back, I typed in on Twitter, Vivek Soros, it came right up like 50 times.
So you think because you talked about it,
No.
It's possible.
Not because I talked. No. Not because I talked about it.
That they remove this.
A lot. No, not because I talked about it.
Why isn't that possible?
A lot of people were talking about it. But I went on.
Well, you said it was a scary connection.
It is scary. I'll tell you what's scary. No, this is very scary. So I went on Twitter. I couldn't find it. I searched through every possible scenario. Then I went on Google. Couldn't find it. And I looked. I couldn't find it. So what I did is I went back, because I played this a few times on a couple of different shows. I went back to an old show of mine and pulled the audio off of an old show of mine. This audio has been, I'm not saying that it is impossible to find. It's next to impossible. And Vivek Ramaswamy did get busted. He hired someone and paid someone to alter his Wikipedia bio. And he had them take out some of the Soros stuff. And I suspect that he did the same thing with this audio I'm going to play for you. This audio of Ramaswamy, it was a video that he made on a cell phone in his car.
I remember this,
and he posted. And I'm looking all over. I couldn't I'm not saying it's impossible to find, but it's not easy to find.
He's got a lot of money, and there are companies you can hire that can clean up your internet footprint.
Yeah, what they do with that.
I mean, there are companies, it's a lot of money, but they will purge the internet.
Well, what they do
of some of your history completely. There are people that do it.
What they do is the things that you don't want people to find, they can't remove everything from the internet. What they do is they put it like on page 500 of the Google search results, which who goes back that far? You understand what I mean? They put it back so far, no one will ever find it.
Right.
And someone very rich with lots of money and a lot of connections has used one of those identity internet things and suppressed this video of Ramaswamy. And I find that frightening. Now, let me play you the audio from it. And again, I had to go back on one of my old shows and get this audio and pull it off of that. This is Ramaswamy talking about his Soros connection.
The question we get is, what is my connection with George Soros? Answer, none. Zero. Indirect, direct, zero connection with George Soros. Why are people asking this question? It's because back in 2010, by the way, long before George Soros had completely fallen off the deep end and gone into these progressive causes, funding these disastrous, toxic prosecutors who are soft on crime, who I've also railed against. Long before then, in 2010, I won a scholarship when I was 24, 25 years old, headed to law school, that was partly funded by, not George Soros, but Paul Soros, who's a relative, a brother of George Soros, who made his money independently, who, by the way, is now dead.
Okay, so he says he has no connection to George Soros, but he's got a connection to his brother,
which is a connection.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 2 degrees of separation.
That's a direct. Someone's brother is a direct connection. If it's their brother, it's a direct connection. Yeah. And I'm of the opinion that anyone who has any type of connection with anyone named Soros is not allowed. Is
somebody getting paid to agitate or deceive in some way.
This is what
that's what George Soros does.
Yeah.
He pays people to agitate, to upset things, to give false impressions, to manipulate. And I'm sure his brother is in the same business. So I am highly suspicious of this guy. But I haven't heard Trump say anything negative about him.
Because he's popular with young people and he hasn't gone after Trump. Trump only goes after people that go after him.
Yeah.
But this is what I think is going on. I think George Soros, this crime wave in America is because he got involved with these prosecutors. And by the way, Vivek, he was always a radical liberal going back to the Holocaust and the Second World War, okay? So he didn't all of a sudden in 2010 become a bad guy. He was always a bad guy since his youth. But I think what's going on here is George Soros, the Soros people, are making a move into the Republican Party and into the MAGA movement. And they're using Ramaswamy
I think you're absolutely right.
to do it. And, this video, which was, when I searched for this a few weeks ago, came up immediately many times over. Again, it's around, but it's hard to find. Yeah. It's been suppressed by Vivek Ramaswamy, maybe directly, his campaign, those behind him. To me, a George Soros connection is like a porn connection. You know, there's certain things you do that you can't walk back. Porn and George Soros. And Ramaswamy,
I think you're right.
There's a lot of people out there that I know that are MAGA people that get mesmerized by this guy. He is dangerous. And the fact that this video was so difficult for me to find this morning, that was readily – and when I played it, I wasn't the only person. A lot of people were playing that video, okay, and sharing that video and that audio that I shared with you weeks ago. So it wasn't just me. And I think he saw that in his campaign, as people saw that as a problem, and they have suppressed it on the internet. And it would be difficult to convince me otherwise. And that is deception, and it's very dishonest.
Well, the fact alone that, and I'm sure you're right about that he paid to have all that stuff removed, it shows you the kind of person that he is.
Yeah, so let me know.
That he's afraid of that.
That's right.
He's trying to hide something.
Yeah, so you guys let me know in the comments what you think about that. Now, I want to also mention this. Watching, and I know if you're listening to this program, you get most of your news and information online, but millions of people still get their information and news from cable news and traditional sources, unfortunately. And if you got your news from Fox News and places like that, you would think that Donald Trump had a major loss in these elections last night, in particular in Kentucky and Virginia. And nothing could be further from the truth. Mm-hmm. Now, this morning on the morning show, I didn't talk about Kentucky and Virginia too much. And the reason I didn't is because something else I was talking about took off. This just crazy, outrageous comments that Candace Owens made. I'm not going to get into that now, but you guys can watch my stream before this video and watch that. It was an incredible discussion, took off, and I didn't get to it. But here's the thing about the election in Kentucky and Virginia and Ohio. I'll talk about Ohio a little bit too, but mostly Kentucky and Virginia. We did not lose in Kentucky like they want you to think in the media. They want you to think in the media, the mainstream media, the Fox News crowd, that Republicans lost big in Kentucky. We did lose the governor's race, okay? However, we lost the governor's race, but we won all the down ticket races, like the state secretary of state. You know, those races that are down ticket from that? We won all of those. And Republicans in Kentucky control 80% of the state legislature. So we got 80% control of the state legislature. We won all the down ticket seats. We did lose the governor's race. The guy that won, I've been told, because who follows Kentucky politics this closely? He's with one of these old Kentucky political power families that go back forever. So he's got a lot of connections. But the Republican, one of his top advisors was a scary thing, a campaign worker for Mitch McConnell. So one of his top campaign workers was a staffer of Mitch McConnell's, and I think a lot of people in Kentucky that are MAGA knew that, and they don't like McConnell. They're ticked at McConnell. They didn't show up, but we won all the down ticket races. We did lose the governor, but we won pretty much all the others, which is pretty amazing. You wouldn't know that by watching your mainstream media.
I'm sure he's wondering what the hell happened.
I mean,
if all those win and then he doesn't, that he's a likable guy. And he's a big Trump guy, so I don't understand.
Because of the Mitch McConnell connection?
Maybe not, maybe something else went on.
And this other guy is one of these old, established political dynasties in Kentucky, they tell us, that I've been hearing today.
Suspicious.
But it's not a loss for Trump, okay? It's not like we won all those down ticket races and have 80% of the state legislature in Kentucky. That's pretty big.
The problem is, and you told me only 30% showed
30% voter turnout.
That is the problem.
Okay. Well, it's an off-year race.
When they voted for the mayor of New York, I read they had 8% voter turnout.
Yeah.
This is the problem in these elections, is not enough people turn up and vote. And and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't want to deal with it, and they don't want to. And I understand, because it's frustrating with politics, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't pay attention. And they're like, you've had many callers that are elderly that are like, the first time I voted was for Trump. I just can't imagine going your whole life and never voting. No. There's a lot of people like that. And until they actually get out and vote, Like a lot of people that are conservative in California, they don't bother voting because they think it won't make a difference. As long as you have that attitude, you're never going to change a damn thing. You need to go and vote and see what happens. Otherwise, you cannot complain about what's going on in your state if you do not vote. I mean, and you're hurting. If you don't like the way the country is going, it's your responsibility to vote to help the people you live with.
That's true, but these off-year elections, this is what happens. I mean, but again, we won all the down-ticket races. 80% of the state legislature is Republican. We lost one major. Now, Virginia, it's a good thing we lost in Virginia, and I'll tell you why. It's because Glenn Youngkin's the governor. If Republicans would have won in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin would have gotten all the credit, and all of the Republican money, the uniparty establishment money, would have gone behind Glenn Youngkin to try to get him to replace Trump, and it would have been a big headache we didn't want to deal with. So Trump didn't lose in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin did, who they were trying to. They've been thinking about taking Glenn Youngkin and making him the guy to go up against Trump. They were waiting for this election to decide how to handle that. So these losses in Virginia show that Glenn Youngkin's a loser. So that's done. So that was a good thing that we lost these Republican races in Virginia. Now in Ohio, there was some stuff about abortion. They were going, the pro-life Republicans trying to outlaw abortion, which I agree with outlawing abortion. But if you notice, they're trying to paint that as a loss for Trump too. President Trump has been saying for a year that a lot of Republicans are going too hardcore on the abortion limitations. Women don't support that. The mainstream don't support that. I'm pro-life. I overturned Roe v. Wade, but the country is not ready to outlaw abortion yet. So some of these things that are being proposed are too strict for what the country wants to accept. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard Trump say that, and I'm thinking that the uniparty was pushing abortion to try to cause Republicans. This is an example of Republicans on purpose trying to have losses so they can blame Trump for them. But Trump's been very vocal, and it's been controversial because a lot of MAGA people don't like this. They're saying he's being too liberal on abortion. President Trump has said that the Republican Party platform was always this: overturn Roe v. Wade and allow the states to decide what they want to do with abortion, and that's what he did. I would like abortion to be outlawed too, but that's not where the country is right now. They're for limitations, they're for restrictions, they're for all kinds of limitations, but not for a total ban. And if we insist on that, we're going to lose everything. So that's just a reality that we got to accept. But these races last night were not losses for Trump. We did very well. It's no statement on Trump. And I'll tell you, I watched Fox a little bit when I got off the air this morning because Steve was telling me what was going on over there. You listen to Fox; they keep saying on Fox repeatedly that we lost the last election. Yeah, we won the midterms. Nancy Pelosi is no longer speaker.
They want to give the impression that what they want to do is a lot of these politicians, whether they like it or not, are tied to Trump, and their political career is dependent on him. They're like those fish they're like those, what do you call it?
I don't know.
Fish that swim with the sharks that are
I know.
Hang on them, you know what I mean? They can't live without Trump politically. And some are okay with that and some are not okay with it. They probably can't stand. There's a lot of rhinos. So what they're trying to do is start the narrative or give the impression that Trump is not a winning partner.
Exactly.
In politics. So they're trying to get these politicians to separate from him and give the impression to the people that people that Trump endorse are losers because he's a loser. That's what they're trying. They want you to think. That's not what we think, but that's what they want you to think. So that's what they're going to push on. I mean, Fox is definitely very anti-Trump, and so they're going to keep trying to push that. But the more they go after this guy, it's just I've never seen anything like this. The more people rally behind him. It's just incredible. And they just won't stop. Yeah. And I'm sure they're just so confused by all of this.
Well, we won the midterms. Nancy Pelosi was fired as Speaker of the House. So don't let these Fox News people tell you we did not win. Okay. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Those of you that are Patreon supporters, thank you for your support. Your support helps us a lot. And make sure that you go to the Patreon page and take advantage of the exclusive material that is available just for Patreon supporters, including commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode, okay? If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode, and the direct website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow, patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. There's also a direct link on my website, BrianCraigShow.com. Now, our top Patreon supporters get a live, on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Melissa, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for your support. All right, we're going to take our first break. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot to cover after this break.
When was the last time you thanked your mom for all that she does? Well, it's time to show your appreciation. At mamawears.de, you will find a fantastic collection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and more. And they are all designed to bring a smile to mom's face. What makes mamawears.de special is that everything is proudly made in Germany. This ensures you receive top quality products you can trust. And be sure to check out their bestseller selection. You will find some amazing items there too. In addition, mamawears.de features sustainable products that are eco-friendly. With Mama Wears, you not only get to experience the fascinating world of sustainable fashion, but your purchase also makes a significant contribution to environmental protection. Visit mamawears.de and discover the perfect gift to express your gratitude to the amazing mom in your life. Are you looking for a way to help your child become a more kind, compassionate, and caring person? Then look no further than Adventures in Human Values Series 1. This box set of 9 books explores 9 important human values, including courage, kindness, forgiveness, teamwork, compassion, listening, caring, self-confidence, and sharing. Each book is full of colorful illustrations and engaging stories that will capture your child's imagination and teach them valuable lessons about life. With Adventures in Human Values Series 1, your child will learn the importance of having moral courage in the face of adversity, being kind to others when people around them are not being kind, and forgiving others as well as themselves. The books also contain an insightful summary that delves into each story's deeper meaning, along with thought-provoking questions that will tap into your child's innocence and help develop their critical thinking and intuition. These books are the perfect way to teach your child about the importance of human values in a fun and engaging way. Order your copy of Adventures in Human Values Series 1 today at hv4k.com. Individual ebooks are also available on amazon.com by searching Adventures in Human Values. Adventures in Human Values Series 1, teaching children about the importance of human values. A valuable investment for parents who want to raise their children to be kind, compassionate, and caring people. What would you do if you woke up in the body of a wolf? From author S.D. McKittrick comes the book Rise of Fenrir, available right now on Amazon. In Rise of Fenrir, meet Fenn, an unlikely hero who awakens in an unfamiliar forest with fragmented memories. He knows he possesses unique skills and the potential to learn magic. But for a wolf in the wilderness, what's the path forward? Join Fenn on a transformative journey as he unravels the mysteries of his new abilities from some of the most unexpected sources. He grows and evolves over the years, side by side with an unassuming elf. 18 years later, their paths cross again, thrusting Fenn into a world he's never experienced, a world of human races. But the challenges ahead are monumental. When there's a devastating attack on the human city he lives in, he's forced to confront his destructive past, and he faces a critical choice. Rise of Fenrir, from author S.D. McKittrick, is available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so Steven Crowder had a brief comeback this week. He got the exclusive on the manifesto from this Nashville transgender shooter that's been suppressed, and it was filled with anti-whiteness. And just a few things about this. I did mention on the stream this morning, I don't put a lot of thought into the manifesto, okay? I mean, this transgender shooter who was white with all this racist stuff was obviously an insane person, and I'm not going to put any credibility into their insane ramblings of what they did. Now, of course, if they were a white, the transgender shooter was a white person, but if they were white and the manifesto was filled with anti-black or anti-Palestinian or anti-Muslim or anti-gay, so then it would be the talk of the nation and the mainstream press, but because it's anti-white rhetoric that you'll find on MSNBC any given hour of the day, they've suppressed it. But I noticed something, and I'd like you guys to see if you noticed this too, okay? This was a transgender person, so a biological woman living as a man, right? The shooter. If you look at the manifesto, it's handwritten. At least the parts I was reading this morning from Crowder's thing. You know what I noticed about it is the handwriting is the handwriting of a girl. And, girls and guys have different handwriting styles. You know what? I don't know how to describe it, but when you see a girl's handwriting, you can tell it's a girl's handwriting. And this biological girl who was living as a man, maybe dressed in man's clothes and all that stuff, but their handwriting did not transition to masculine handwriting. It was a girl's handwriting. And if you go and look at the manifesto and look at the handwriting, I think you guys will know what I mean. So I don't know what to make of that. Does that mean the person really was transgender? Were they just playing dress up? Yeah, I'm just, if it's genetic or biological or whatever causes it, wouldn't the handwriting also be the other gender?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know what I mean by girls' handwriting?
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, it was. If I didn't know who it was, and you showed it to me and said, "Did a boy or a girl like this?" I'd say a girl.
Some things like that don't change.
Yeah,
don't change when you're physically. That's the whole thing. Is like you physically can change your body, and you might mentally. I think a lot of these young people that think they're a different gender. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I mean, I think it is a thing. Like with Bruce Jenner, I think that really is a legitimate thing. He's been living like that his whole life, and he finally changed it like it's 70, okay? And he seems like a very sane, together person to me. But I think a lot of these, and you met him, you said he was very cool.
Yeah, I met him when he was Bruce.
I know, but still, did he seem fine to you?
Yeah, he was amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and he's an Olympian and all this. But I think a lot of these young people have been brainwashed and targeted. They have a lot of problems at home. They have mental health issues. They could be bipolar. They could be dual personality.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are misdiagnosed. They're not getting proper health treatment. There's a very big problem with mental health in this country. And they might have a guidance counselor or somebody in authority or somebody online even convincing them that all their problems will be solved if they switch genders.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that have had that done have come forward saying that they were lied to and they were told, that if they changed genders, everything would work out, and it didn't. It got worse. So this is clearly, I don't think too much should be put into these shooters and their beliefs. They're mentally ill people. Anybody who goes in and shoots people is not stable at all. Right. Okay. So to sit here, and I'm glad we're not talking about it too much, because for people to sit there for days and days and discussing their manifesto and their political beliefs, it does not matter what they think politically to me or anything, because they're crazy. They're crazy people. Ted Kaczynski was crazy. Do you look at him for his politics? He was a nut. These are people that are severely, I'm not saying people that are trans are mentally ill, even though that's probably some of it. But I'm saying the people that go in and shoot up people are mentally ill.
Absolutely.
A normal person, no matter if they're gay, straight, trans, a normal person doesn't do that.
That's correct.
This is somebody deeply disturbed, probably dealing with psychosis, hearing voices, who knows what else. So whether they write down something that's left or right, it should not matter to anybody, and it should not be used in any way, shape, or form as a political football, because you're only empowering these crazy people. When you get somebody who does this and they have a manifesto and you got the president reacting to it, you don't think that encourages other crazy people to do this kind of thing? They have got to stop giving validity to these shooters of any kind. They're nuts.
All of the manifestos should always be hidden from the public because there's a lot that what happens is
they should not be used politically at all.
These lunatics, they want to be heard. They write a manifesto, then they do something like this, and even though they may no longer be with us, they go out thinking, well, it's going to be known to the world.
And I think a lot of these people, like the guy that went into the bowling alley a couple of weeks ago and then he shot himself, I feel a lot of these people are suicidal. They're planning on killing themselves anyway, and they want to do something that gets them remembered. Because if they just kill themselves, nobody other outside of their family and circle is going to know who they are, what happened. But if they go and shoot up a bunch of people, innocent people, then it's going to be talked about on the news.
Yeah.
They're going to go down in history. People are going to talk about them, and they're going to be known and maybe referred to and maybe affect the world in some way, in a negative way. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of these people, and they don't have the guts to kill themselves sometimes. So they figure, well, the cops will do it for me. I could take out some people. Yeah. And then everybody will know who I am.
And this thing with
it's a way to get attention.
This thing with Steven Crowder, Steven Crowder really screwed himself a few months ago when he recorded himself on that phone conversation with Jeremy what's his name? Jeremy Boring or something? I don't remember. From the Daily Wire. Yeah. Jeremy from the Daily Wire. And that guy's pretty funny. I don't know too much about Jeremy. He's very funny though. And we did get his chocolates, which they came melted.
They took forever,
like months to
get here,
weeks and weeks,
and they were all melted. It was melted. So whoever does his distribution, and quality control sucks.
Yeah, it was
because
awful.
They arrived 2 or 3 months later, and they were all completely threw them in the garbage.
They had some.
So thanks a lot, and they were not cheap.
They had some evaporated dry ice in there, and they were a waste. But anyway, I didn't like that Crowder recorded his phone conversation with that guy. That's a real low life move, and I don't like this thing of people recording people, and I thought that was really scummy of Steven Crowder to do that. And I've never really listened and watched Steven Crowder too much. Maybe 6 or 7 times total, and half of those were over the controversy with him recording that phone conversation. I never really put much into him. So I don't have too strong opinions on him. The other times were that recording with him and his wife that got really nasty, right? She recorded him.
Well, these are people that use others to elevate themselves, and they, even if it's good or to make, like Alex Jones with Sandy Hook, to profit, to make money. I couldn't believe how much money Alex Jones made off that, and I'm glad he got sued and lost, because that's sickening to me, sickening. And he just took it so far, and he knew what he was saying, I believe, wasn't true, but he tapped into the conspiracy group of people, and they just threw money at him, and he made a fortune off of that. And I think Crowder's, a little bit in that vein. He didn't, he just read a manifesto that was given to him, and I understand he's going to do that, but you got to be careful. We really try not to be exploitative like that. Of course, nobody's sending us information like that, but we really just talk about what's in the news and things like that, and just give you our honest opinion. But I don't think that we're in that same category as those guys. Do you?
If someone gave me the manifesto,
what would you do?
I would not. I don't know what I would.
There's a lot of quality control here. People don't realize. Brian and I discuss a lot of things. There's a lot of times I'll come up with an idea and he'll be like, nope, that's not going to, we're going to do that. Or vice versa. He'll say something and I'll be like, I'm not comfortable talking about that. And we really do try to be careful about.
It's not careful, it's responsible.
Responsible. Well, yeah, exactly. About what we discuss. And, and things that.
Well, listen.
You do have a responsibility when you're doing this kind of thing.
People may say, well, the public got a right to know, it's the news. I guess, but I'm not saying that's not true.
I think the public knows too damn much, and I don't think the public has a right to know everything.
I don't think we know enough. But the manifesto,
sometimes there's too much out there.
I think the thing about the manifesto that is very important, though, that Crowder leaked out, is that if this would have been a manifesto done by a white person and they attacked gays, blacks, Hispanics, any minority group, the whole country would stop, and they would go to Trump to discount it, to condemn it as if he's got some role in it.
Well, yeah, because it's a trans activist, liberal.
And they were anti-white, even though they were white. There's a complete media cover-up on it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go after Steven Crowder just for releasing this, because it doesn't fit their narrative. And that's a very important point. So I think Steven Crowder did a good thing in releasing this manifesto, because it had in it, not exactly, I was expecting it to be more anti-Christian than anti-white, though the anti-white stuff caught me off guard. But, a lot of people that are talking, well, they were white, how could they be racist? Well, that's like you have a lot of Jews who support the Palestinians, right? And this Israeli-Palestinian war that's going on, and people like that, how can they be wrong? They're Jews too. No, just because someone is white doesn't mean they can't have negative opinions. I was watching a video that Charlie Kirk did for Turning Point. He's got this new girl on Turning Point who they really need to get rid of. I mean, she's just airhead and she's really bimbo-ish. She's not. Usually they find girls and guys that they're smart.
Well, here's what's going on. And speaking of exploiting people, I've noticed with these media groups, Turning Point and Daily Wire and all these, it's very, very competitive.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because even though it's a big audience and you might think, well, there's enough to go around, the economy is tight and these guys take money and donations. And that's where really, plus, they want your time and attention. And so you have a lot of things like that. And I have noticed, PragerU, there's a new trend with these guys of hiring young, good-looking girls.
Yeah. Clickbait.
And
they're clickbait. Don't
let it fool you. They are hiring them for one reason
clickbait.
only, because they're pretty and they want to attract the men, conservatives,
to watch.
They're not hiring them because they're smart. And I think that's really, and I hate to say this, even RSBN is capable, is guilty of this a little bit. Some of now Liz Willis,
she's gone.
She left. She was okay, but I wouldn't consider her like a beauty queen, even though she probably would. But there's even some women on RSBN once in a while that just make no sense to me. Of course, they're not overly beautiful, but they're still young women. So I think these groups are getting in this habit of bringing in young women, black or white, targeting specifically men or blacks or whatever. And hey, I understand that's what they got to do. It's competitive. But it's a bit of an affirmative action thing going on here for women and minorities, in my opinion. They're not hiring young white guys as much as the young pretty girls.
Well, and it's
not for their brains.
Well,
it's to get clicks and views. Yeah. That's how it works.
But what they did on this Turning Point video is I watched a little bit of it, and they went to a college and they're interviewing college kids, and some of them are white, and they think there's too much white privilege.
Yeah,
and they tell you how they're socialists. So I hear a lot of young white people talking against white privilege. Let me tell you, there was a time in this country when there was white privilege. We're beyond that now. There's no white privilege. In fact, it's really a negative if you think about it. And this whole thing that someone who's white can't be anti-white, someone who's Jewish can't be anti-Israeli or anti-Semitic. That none of that's true. There's so much brainwashing going on of the left in the media and in college education, that there are self-hating people that hate their own ethnicity, their own religion, and own background. They're being brainwashed. But what's been going on in the college campuses isn't new, but it's gotten worse, far worse than ever before. And I think these pro-Palestinian protests at the college campuses the last month, I think, have woken up a lot of America. And people,
I agree.
People are going to stop sending their kids to these schools.
Oh yeah, I don't think people realized, and I think Obama's behind all of this.
Yes, he is.
I don't think people realized. I think he is single-handedly responsible, him and his friends, for increasing that population in this country. And I don't want to say diversity isn't good, But I don't know. It seems, and I don't mean as far as race. I mean as far as religion and your cultural beliefs. I think America's great that we're all different. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like people are abusing it at this point. You know, this diversity is our strength. But they're not into diversity. They're into anything anti-white. They don't see us as having, I've heard people say this, they don't see us as having a culture or a relevant point of view. They just see us as oppressive. And I think diversity is fine and everything. And I think it's great. America is the only country in the world that's this diverse. I can promise you that. But sometimes I feel like, you know, it's becoming like a tool used by people in a negative way, which makes me unhappy.
Well, it's not. It's the problem. It's not. The problem is that they have turned American. Like I give an example of something that
you have so many people now from one group. They're becoming the oppressors.
Let me give you an example. Kathy and I a couple nights ago watched the Davy Crockett movie with Fess Parker from the 50s.
Yeah, and Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah. On we have Disney Plus. Because I like Star Wars. We get Disney Plus. And I'll hear from people about that. How could you have it?
It's no big deal.
I mean, what am I going to do? Not watch Star Wars? Are you kidding me? But we watched the original Davy Crockett from the 50s. Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier with Fess Parker and Buddy Ebsen. It's very, very good. And I read a book on Davy Crockett once about 20 years ago, and I started thinking, you know what? I'm gonna start reading up on Davy Crockett. And I watched a documentary about him on YouTube, and I learned some things about him I did not know. And I said, well, let me get a book on Davy Crockett. So when I got off the air this morning, I got in the car, and I've got Audible. So, by the way, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms, including Audible. All right? Just search the Brian Craig Show podcast. So I pulled up Audible, and I'm like, let me get a book on Davy Crockett. And the first thing that came up was a book called Forget the Alamo. Not Remember the Alamo, Forget the Alamo. So I opened it up and read the description. And, of course, everything we've learned about the Alamo and Davy Crockett is not true. You've got to get this book to learn the truth. Yeah. There's a trend in American history that's been going on for about 20 years that the books that come out about American history now are how everything you learned about American history was wrong, and this is the truth, and it's all bad.
These are communists, and these are people that hate America.
Well, so what's happened?
So anything that makes America or Americans in history look good, they want to alter because they hate everything about this country.
So what's happened is,
including our heroes.
Yeah. So what's happened is the last two generations of Americans have gone through their complete education from pre-K through graduate school with history books and American textbooks telling them that everything about American history was bad, that we're like Nazis, about, the Holocaust of the Native Americans, the Holocaust of
we're responsible for all the problems.
Everything about America is taught now from a negative viewpoint, not a positive viewpoint.
Absolutely.
And and now we're two generations into. I say two generations. I know a generation's 20 years, and I said about 20 years, but we've had about two generations do their complete education in that period. You understand what I mean? Their complete education was done in that period, and they have been educated to believe that everything about American history that we were taught, that their parents and grandparents were taught, was wrong. And everything about American history is sexist, racist, and some whatever other negatives they can think. And what we're seeing now is the products of that are the millennials. They're the first adult generation that grew up in that. And that, what do you have? Mayor Pete and AOC, okay? And it's really a sad thing. So this is the problem we're having. And like that manifesto from the Nashville shooter, a lot of that is a product, that anti-whiteness from a white person, a lot of that is a product of the education and re-education and indoctrination in our education system. We're going to take our last break. When we get back, there is a lot more to cover. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
From author L. Falloon comes the epic adventure, The Boy Who Knew Fire. Thomas Kane Series Book 1, available on Amazon. In The Boy Who Knew Fire, meet Thomas. He's an ordinary boy who discovers an extraordinary destiny on his 13th birthday. He's about to become the shepherd, a guardian of the elements, and the key to Earth's future. But there's a catch. The awakening of the new elements is still 5 years away. That is, until an ancient adversary, known as the Null, awakens them prematurely, throwing the world into chaos. Now, Thomas must rise to the challenge and become Earth's most unlikely hero. In a heroic journey that's filled with twists, turns, and unimaginable challenges, he's destined to protect the elements and save the world. Order your copy of this thrilling and heartwarming story of courage, destiny, and the power of unlikely heroes. The Boy Who Knew Fire, Thomas Kane Series Book 1, from author L. Falloon, available on Amazon. This Christmas, give the gift of creativity, imagination, and endless fun with B-Blocks Building Blocks, available on Amazon. B-Blocks Building Blocks isn't just a fun gift, but it's educational too. It's a STEM toy of 500 pieces. That's right, 500 pieces to ignite your little one's creativity. Children will be introduced to a world of colors, shapes, and designs. They'll learn to play and create with 8 vibrant colors. From enhancing fine motor skills to exploring basic geometry and architecture, B-Blocks Building Blocks is fun and a powerful learning tool. And they click securely together, too. They're safe and cool, perfect for boys and girls. And this is a gift they'll cherish for years to come. B-Blocks Building Blocks are available in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Just search B-Blocks, B-E-B-L-O-X. B-Blocks Building Blocks, because every child deserves the best. Only in the B-Blocks store on Amazon. Order your child's set right now. From author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall, Ontario, where it seems that dreams can come true and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed. Love Beyond Age, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. In Love Beyond Age, meet Quinn. She's a determined soul with aspirations of becoming a psychologist. She shares a simple life with her dad, saving every penny for her dreams. But life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. Everything changes when she crosses paths with James, whose presence by the river ignites a connection neither can deny. As their university journeys begin, Quinn finds herself torn between her deepening connection with the mysterious James and her growing feelings for her competitive friend Jasper. Secrets are unveiled, revelations come to light, and Quinn discovers a shocking truth about James' hidden secret. As danger lurks on the horizon, relationships are put to the test, and old emotions resurface. A love triangle takes hold, pushing Quinn to the brink. She faces a choice that will shape her future and define her path. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo, is a story of love, secrets, and choices that will tug at your heartstrings. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now and be transported to a world where romance is intertwined with the complexities of life. Love Beyond Age, from author Stephanie Tayo. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Oh, Mayor Pete, by the way, is in Ukraine. Just met with Zelensky today. I don't know, what's he doing over there?
Bringing him a big fat check, I guess.
They got to deliver the checks in person and
or pallets of cash. I don't think they like to have a footprint like Obama delivering cash in the middle of the night. So he probably came with a plane full of $10,000 bills or whatever.
Yeah,
big pallets of money.
And also in the last hour, as we're speaking here, Comer, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, just subpoenaed Hunter and James Biden. James Biden is Joe's brother. And like Hunter, he's a maven of industry. He's involved in massive real estate development around the world, and he's apparently a genius at it because he makes all this money.
Do they think these people are going to tell the truth? These are not honest people.
Well, here's the thing about this. I'm very curious about this. I really, truly hope we don't get some dog and pony show with James Biden in particular and Hunter behind closed doors. This needs to be seen live on television. And my guess would be that Hunter Biden and James Biden, Joe's brother, are as arrogant, nasty, and as entitled as a man can possibly be, each of them.
Yeah.
And Comer, this does not need to be behind closed doors. None of this is classified. It needs to be on television live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the American people need to see the arrogant. First of all, they need to hear how much corruption they're involved in, but hear their arrogant responses to it. And I've always thought the Bidens are a crime family. Joe's a mob boss. Jill is a mob wife, and they're all a mob family.
Yeah, they're all going to protect each other. Nobody's going to turn.
Well,
when you have outsiders, that's when you get people that turn, like somebody who works for you. But when you got actual family members, that's not going to happen.
Well, the thing I believe,
no way.
and I don't know if you guys agree with me on this or not. See, I think the Biden, all of them, James Biden, Hunter Biden. By the way, I'd like to also see Joe's sister there. Joe Biden's sister has managed every one of his campaigns since his first run for the Senate in the 70s. So, there's been all kinds of corruption with that. And they're all rich. But I think they're all so corrupt, they don't believe they're corrupt.
Yeah.
They don't think they've done anything wrong. They think that life is just kickbacks and bribes and stealing. And I think the American people need to see. I'll give you an example of this, okay? Criminals that are lifelong criminals, like street criminals, okay? When they steal from someone, they don't think that they're stealing. They think that they're taking their money from you, okay? Like if you get mugged, that guy thinks you've got his money that he's taking back. It's a real sickness. And I think that's how bad it is for the Bidens. And behind closed doors and all this paperwork and everything, we know what they've done. We've seen the documents. I think people need to see these guys make excuses and justify their corruption on television. And James Biden, the brother,
I think if you need it on TV because you need the court of public opinion for the pressure.
Yeah, that's right.
If it's behind closed doors,
it's a waste of time.
Nothing will come of this.
Waste of time.
Just like Trump with what's going on in New York, it needs to be televised because the American people have a lot of influence still, and they go on social media, they tweet things, they talk about it. I mean, they influence more than ever. And unless people have access to that kind of information where they can see it for themselves, it's just going to get filtered through the news or hidden away or changed or altered in some way, downplayed, watered down, whatever you want to call it. And it'll be a 5-second blip and that's it, and move on. But if they have it on TV playing all the time, but I don't think it's going to be on TV. They're going to be protected, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Well, what they usually do,
unfortunately,
what they usually do is they do the behind the closed doors, and then they'll do a follow-up a day or two later on TV. And I don't like that because you're tipping your hand to the witnesses. And James Biden, the brother, the only thing I know about him other than that he's a crook, he's Joe's other money launderer. It's not just Hunter. James Biden does it too for Joe. He's got a temper, and I've seen him lose his cool more than once with people that question him out on the streets. James Biden is nasty.
Yep.
He blows his stack easily, and if these Republicans in this committee pressure him, and it goes on for a couple of days, he could freak out on TV and start barking back at it. That would be beautiful, and it's got to be on television.
Don't hold your breath.
So if Comer brings them behind the closed doors and questions them, I'm going to be very, very disappointed, I must say. Now, I want to tell you guys about the mighty MAGA Lions. They are selling like mad because, this is the Christmas present of 2023 that everyone wants. This is like the Beanie Baby Cabbage Patch Kid of 2023, okay? Did I say 2021? I might have. I don't know, but it's 2023. I know what year it is. I'm not Biden. I'm just tired, guys. I've been up a long time. But the Mighty MAGA Lion is selling like mad, and once they are gone, they are gone. I want to highlight that the Mighty MAGA Lion, which is available at mightymagalion.com, is available exclusively through us. This is not a drop ship item. The Mighty MAGA Lion, we designed it, and we had them manufactured in advance. We have them all here at our home, and we mail them out. And once they're gone, they are gone, and they are selling fast. So order yours. Now, when you go to mightymagalion.com, if you buy more than one, there's a discount if you buy more than one. And you'll see that there at mightymagalion.com. And the Mighty MAGA Lion is the only Trump-inspired merchandise that's actually wearing the MAGA hat, okay? And that's something that we didn't realize until after we had them made, but it is very true. So go to MightyMagaLion.com and order yours, and you will make whoever is the recipient of that gift very happy, even if it's yourself. So go to MightyMagaLion.com and order yours. All right, listen, guys, we are out of time for today. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.